Hello, everyone. Um, I am live in my car, sitting in front of a Starbucks, waiting for my most recent YouTube video to upload. And I thought I would do a live here um, and jump on and share what's been coming in today, last night, and this morning for all of you guys. So, hi, Mike. Welcome. Hello, hello. I'm at Starbucks uploading my 90-minute YouTube video that I did yesterday for everyone about dimensions. Hi, hello. And it's taking a really long time to upload this 90-minute video I did. But I'm so excited to share it with you guys. It's about dimensions and anchoring into the next dimensional field and what it means to anchor in as opposed to tapping into different dimensions. Hello, hello, everyone. So good to see you guys all here. So what I wanted to jump on and share about, I'm sorry if it's like moving up and down. I have the computer set up on my knee, basically. I wanted to talk about the physical body for a moment, because the more I am personally moving through my own ascension process, I am noticing just how important the physical form is in this journey. And not only how important the physical form is, but the way it was designed before we even dropped into it. It's almost miraculous how it's all so perfect, and the physical form, that is, and the way in which the light within our physical form, your skin's developed sparkles. I wish my skin had sparkles. That's awesome. Well, that's light, right? Crystal. Back to what I was saying. It's a miracle, you guys, the way our physical forms have been uniquely designed. They have been designed for us to be able to do exactly what we're doing right now, which is shifting consciousness, light, energy from inside the form, right? So inside the physical density, we are light, we are consciousness. And the entire purpose for this experiment that we're doing right now is to shift. Forget about our purpose work, forget about light worker, forget about starseed, forget about all these other aspects of why we're here. The physical journey of it is that our form is going to take us into the next dimensional field, and we're going to actually anchor into that field. It's going to take our light into that field. I think a lot of us have been, yeah, it's going to go to the channel. It'll save. A lot of us we're so worried about, or not even worried, we're so consumed by increasing our frequency, right? Shifting, raising our vibration. And the crazy part about this whole journey is that we're not going anywhere without the physical form. So as high as we want to shift our energetic beingness inside of our form, it's the physical form that's going to actually anchor us into the next dimensional field. So I talked about this in my video that I'm uploading right now. We, as beings of light and light within physical form that's shifting, we can tap into higher states of consciousness. We can tap into the 4D, we can tap into the 5D, 6D, but we can't anchor it in our every single present moment. We can't anchor 4D in and 5D in as our every now moment experience until the physical form is vibrating at that frequency, right? And so it's designed, it knows how to do this. It knows how to take your light and move it into the next dimensional space, the next dimensional field, the next dimension. We have, it's not even us. We are not physical forms. We jumped into the physical form. Our physical form knows how to do this. And so as we are becoming more and more physical in our everyday moments, meaning we're feeling more emotions, we're feeling more thoughts, we're hearing louder thoughts, we're hearing beliefs, all of these things that we're doing, it's becoming more physical, right? It's becoming less esoteric and more grounded and physical and real. And because this is how we are designed to shift. It's because wherever your third dimensional form is vibrating at, that's where that's the field you'll be anchored in. So for most of us, we are still vibrating physically. Our physical form, our hands, our head, the body is still in a third dimensional frequency. And so we're still in that cloud of 3D matrix, even if the light inside of us is vibrating higher, which for most of us, that's the case. Our light inside of us is vibrating higher, but our physical form isn't. That's this up and down that we keep getting, right? These really beautiful states of being, and yet at the same time, these intense, dense emotions, thoughts, beliefs. It's the physical form saying, hey, slow down, Charles. I've got work to do inside this form. You're wanting to raise, and I've got to clear. I've got to purge. So your beautiful physical form has a consciousness and awareness of what's going on. It's designed, again, to do this. We are designed with a channel inside of us. We are designed with an intricate meridian system inside of us. We are designed with DNA that knows when it's going to get activated, not when it gets activated, what to do, how to shift. The cells know what to do. It's all a beautiful machine that knows how to do it. And what happens is that our ego and mind is saying, well, I don't like this. Well, I don't like this. Well, I don't like this thought. I don't like this emotion. I don't like this belief. I'm going to try to shift out of this one. I'm going to move out of this one. I'm going to do whatever I can to get out of this one. So we're trying to control the ascension process. And your physical body keeps slamming you back down. When are you going to let me do this? Basically, right? That's what the physical body is saying. When are you going to trust me? When are you going to trust that I know what I'm doing? It's almost like we have to start to recognize that the physical form is a completely separate aspect of us. And every aspect of us is inside our physicality. It's inside our form. We are held in our sovereignty within this form. And of course, we've got this beautiful energetic field around us, vibrating at a higher frequency than the physical form. But the physical form is the densest aspect of us. So the physical form is what's going to hold us in the reality and matrix that we're in. So no wonder we're going crazy, right? It's like, stepping out for a second and starting to really recognize this is a quite the roller coaster ride. And the more we can start to remember, because everything I talk about, you guys, you already know, you just forgot. I don't know anything. I'm not a more enlightened or whatever being. I'm just somehow have this information and I'm just reminding you. But we have to come back to the physicality of this ascension process, which is what's so spectacular about this moment right now. This part of the ascension process is the actual physicality of consciousness shifting into the next dimensional field, the physical aspect of us. And that's what's so fabulous and amazing about this entire experiment, is that the earth wanted to shift dimensions in the form it's in without leaving the form in a very low frequency, in a very low dimensional state. It's very rare. Typically, I've said this before, but typically consciousness, if it wants to shift into a different frequency, let's say you're an 8th dimensional consciousness and you're like, I think I'm going to go try to be, I want to experience a 20th dimension. Then that 8th dimensional consciousness aspect of you just moves out and jumps into a 10th dimension or 20th dimensional consciousness. That's free will. That's what we're capable of doing as beings of light. But the earth said, oh, no. I want to experience something freaking amazing. I want to create an environment, a space where I'm vibrating at a low frequency. And I want to take my form that's holding my light and move into the next frequency in that same form. And I want to allow other consciousnesses to experience this. I want to allow other consciousnesses to come into a physical form, dense physical form, and experience this. So completely separate from light workers, completely separate from purpose work, completely separate from all the other things that we think about. The core of this entire experiment is that it's consciousness shifting into the next highest dimensional state within a dense physical form. That's what we're doing. And so as we start shifting our own energy and our own light higher and higher, we're recognizing, oh shit, I'm not going anywhere without my body. And not only that, but my body is telling me this. My body's telling me this. My body's really tired. My body's sick. I've got these emotions. I've got these thoughts. I've got these beliefs. I've got this anger and rage. And, I can't stand being around people. Like, your physical body is getting louder and louder and louder because it's your physical body that is now shifting. Oh, Charles, that's hilarious. I was talking to you. Point is, the physical body, it's the physical body's part time right now to shift, and we have to relax. So when emotions are coming up, this is what your body wants you to realize. Okay, if your body had a voice, your body would say, listen, Susan, these emotions have to come up. I have to purge them. How am I going to move you into the next dimensional field if I can't purge this density that needs to come out of you? Or, James, those thoughts and those beliefs that are popping up that you don't like, that are uncomfortable, if I can't purge them out of you, we can't do this. And what does it mean to purge? It means it's going to come up into your field. You're going to see it, feel it, look at it. You're going to judge it. You're going to attach to it. And what I'm asking you to do is to just recognize what's happening. That me, as your physical form, is popping it up so you can get conscious of it, bring awareness to it, feel it, see it, think it, have the thoughts. And then guess what? My job is to move it through you. So together, you as light and me as form are doing this. But what happens is that you, as your human ego and mind, you want to control it. And you're making it much more challenging for me, the physical form, to do this. You're resisting, you're getting angry, you're yelling at me, you're telling me I'm not doing it fast enough, you're telling me that I'm doing it not a good job, you're berating my job that I'm doing. And meanwhile, I'm the one that's doing all this work to try to get you anchored into the next dimensional field. So if your physical form could talk to you, that's what it would say. So how can we begin, or maybe you're already doing this, how can we start to look at our experiences, our physical experiences, as perfect? And not for the sake of making it easier, because it actually is perfect. Like, how can we start to look at the emotions that come up, the thoughts that come up, the beliefs that come up, the addictions that are trying to move through us, the illnesses that we're experiencing, the physical pains we're experiencing? How can we start to look at those from a different lens? Can we start to look at those from the lens of the physical form, like as if you actually were your physical form, because you are, and you remember that your physical form is designed to do this. And what is this? Move you into the next dimensional field, anchored in, not consciously, meaning you're already consciously, most of you, tapping into fourth dimensional consciousness and fifth dimensional consciousness. So I would assume that most of us are feeling those higher states of consciousness every once in a while, but we're still in a matrix that could be three-dimensional because our physical form is still holding that frequency for us. So how can we begin to recognize that the form knows what it's doing, that all of this is perfect, that it's divine, that it's exactly what we need to pop up in order for the body to do what it's designed to do? It's like the light of who we are, the light inside of us, the ego and the mind. We've been able to understand it. We've been able to sort of manipulate and control it in a way. We've been able to take ourselves into higher states of consciousness. We've been able to meditate. We've been able to do these things that assist our own light. But we can't control the physical form. This is when we start to go crazy, because we cannot control the physical form. And the physical form is the one sort of taking charge right now. Physical form is the one that's leading the ascension right now for us. It's very, very physical. And so the key is, how can we begin to watch everything come up and recognize that it's the physical form kind of speaking to us, and reminding ourselves all of different aspects of us, right? We're not just a higher self. We're not just the light being that dropped in, whatever consciousness you dropped in from, right? We're not just the human ego and mind. We're also a physical form. We are a physical form as well. And that's a huge piece of what's happening for us right now. And if you think about it, right, like imagine you're laying in bed and you're waking up sort of like lonely or depressed or whatever it is. And I think a lot of us are now pretty comfortable being like, oh, look at what I'm feeling, look at what I'm thinking. But there could be people that get angry about it or upset, or how can I be feeling this again? Why am I continuing? Why am I still feeling this? What if you started looking at it as, what if my physical form actually knows what it's doing? And what if these dense experiences that I'm having, for the length of time that I'm having them, is actually my physical form taking charge and doing everything it needs to do so that it can anchor me into the next dimensional field, which is the fourth dimensional field. And then we'll anchor into the fifth dimensional field. And my video that I'm uploading from at Starbucks right now, which is taking literally like 8 hours because it's 90 minutes. Don't even ask me how I spoke that long. I have no idea. But what was I saying? I can't remember. I lost track. But the physical form knows what it's doing with us. How can we begin to trust it more in every aspect? And also, you guys, not only is the physical form really taking charge right now for so many of us and anchoring us, but trying to anchor us, but we also have an energetic field around us. And as we start shifting our own light within us, we start to become more energetic in our every now moment. So we're walking around more energetic. So not only are we, the Ascension process is insane. Not only are we physically moving through a lot of stuff, the physical form's purging out stuff, but we're also increasing our vibration within our physical form. And so the energetic field around us that goes out about 1.5 feet, our energetic field, it's getting more activated, which means that it is feeling people more. It's feeling experiences more. You're starting to resonate with things, not resonate with things anymore. You are feeling, not only are you feeling what's happening in your physical form, but you're also feeling energetically more. You're getting more energetic. And so it's insane what we're going through. And we're doing it. So the whole purpose of this right now is me jumping on this live is to just remind you guys, can we start to look at this whole journey through the eyes of the physical form? Because we've finally been able to, if you're a light worker, starseed, whatever you want to call it, way shower, if you've been doing the work for however many thousands of years or lifetimes, or maybe this is your first lifetime, you've been shifting the frequency of the earth and humanity to a place where it's high enough now where the actual physical form can shift. So we are holding a vibration within the collective, regardless of what you see out there. And the earth is holding a vibration now for us as well, that the physical form can now begin to shift. Many of you, by the way, are here for the first time or for the last time because you want to finally feel the physical shifting of consciousness. Believe it or not, as bizarre as that may sound, many of the light workers that have been here for thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of years, from Lemuria and Atlantis, this is the lifetime that you are experiencing finally the physicality of shifting consciousness, the physicality of it. So let's lighten up. Let's lighten up a little bit. Let's remember that the body, the physical form, has been designed by higher dimensional beings to allow us to do this. We're not just in some foreign physical body thinking, oh my God, I hope my body knows what it's doing. Do I need to do anything? Do I need to read anything? Do I need to? No. The body was designed by much higher dimensional beings in order to be able to allow the light consciousness dropping in, the light being, the angelic being, whoever you are, whatever you are, to drop in to do this journey, to do it. And there's 1,000 million different reasons why you dropped down, besides experiencing this physical shift in this lifetime. I would say the last 20 years, it's gotten real physical, very physical. Does this make sense to everybody? I'm so excited for my next YouTube that's being uploaded. It's all about the third, fourth, and fifth dimension, and it's about how we anchor in and what it means to anchor in, as opposed to tapping into the consciousnesses, which we've all been doing for quite some time. We've been tapping into higher states of consciousness and then being thrown back into our physical body in the third dimension. So it'll be really, really, well, I have a lot of drawings, and my drawings are so ridiculous. But anyway, is there any questions I can answer while I'm here? Does anybody have any questions? Remember, this is just a remembrance, you guys. Like, everything I'm saying is to remind you what you already know, right? And so it takes listening over and over and over again, reminding yourself over every day. I am constantly reminding myself of what's going on every single day. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm ascending. Oh yeah, that's right, my body's shifting. Oh yeah, that's right, this is density. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm a being of light. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm always reminding myself, always. And in doing that, it literally assists you in shifting quicker, and it shifts your reality. Instantaneously, your reality will shift. How can you raise your vibration? Okay, being afraid to get into your body. So, because raising your vibration is it's happening naturally. So if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I'm not a big fan of, like, how can you raise your vibration? Because your vibration is being raised naturally by the ascension process. And the reason you think that you're not raising your vibration is because there is dense consciousness moving out of your physical form. And so you think that you're not raising your vibration because you're not moving into higher states of consciousness. I mean, there's little things you can do to assist in moving into higher states of consciousness while your physical form is calibrating and assimilating the energy. So that could be going into nature. It can be listening to really nice music, quiet music. It can be meditating. It can be just sitting and listening to yourself, just quietly. It can be going into group settings where they have the same sort of intentions, and you're in, sort of like being held in a higher frequency in that moment. But don't forget, this is the whole point of this message, basically. Just because you raise your vibration in that moment, your physical form is still in a third dimensional field. So you're still going to be experiencing dense consciousness. And it doesn't mean that you're not vibrating at a high frequency inside your form, right? The light inside of you is still vibrating at a higher frequency, but your physical form is in a third dimensional frequency. And so you're still going to experience that dense consciousness. You're still going to run into fears and doubts and anger and rage and jealousy, not as often, because the energy, the light inside of you is spinning faster. And so you're tapping into higher states of consciousness more and more. But you're not escaping the third dimensional matrix until your form has anchored into the fourth dimension, right? So if you can take the pressure off, I need to bring myself into higher states of consciousness or raise my vibration, and recognize that it's happening naturally. And maybe if I just let go and surrender and stop judging and attaching to everything that's happening, let go of attachment and judgment, and you'll find yourself in a higher state of consciousness. If you let go of judgment, if you let go of attachment, and you start to remember who you are, you'll find yourself in higher states of consciousness. Find your breath, you'll be in a higher state of consciousness. So for those of you that are having a hard time getting into the body, you're not alone. There's millions of you. You're most likely a light worker that has either been volunteering as a light worker since Lemuria and Atlantis, or you've been volunteering for thousands and thousands of years. And the reason that you are not comfortable getting into the body is because you've had many, many lifetimes on the earth plane, and there are cellular memories within your body that as you begin to awaken, as the light inside of you starts shifting into higher states of consciousness, your cells are shifting. And when your cells shift, you start to remember more and more. And there are very traumatic experiences that have happened as light workers and way showers when they got into their physical forms and connected to their channel. So what we're all learning to do right now is move into our physical forms, because that's where our channel is. That's where we connect to our light, our higher selves, our I am presence, our guides, the being of light that we are, right? You have to get into the body, which is what we're all learning to do. But for those of you that are afraid of trusting the body, afraid of getting into the body, just nervous around the whole thing, afraid of opening up and expanding what's going to come in, it's because of past lives, right? And it's not that you have to go back in and explore those past lives unless you want to. What you have to remember is it's not current. It's not in this lifetime. So whether it's a conscious knowingness or an unconscious knowingness, meaning a fear, conscious fear and unconscious fear, start to get aware. Am I comfortable getting into my body? Right? And if I'm not, okay, I'm not comfortable getting into my body because I probably had past lives where when I jumped into my body again and connected to my channel to do my work, I got killed, I got tortured, I got persecuted, I got murdered, I was drowned. I mean, all kinds of horrible things happen and have happened to light workers that jumped back into their bodies and connected to their channels so that they could do their work. And so that's part of the reason why so many of us don't want to get back into the body. But I hate to say it, that's the only way you're going to shift. You got to get back into the body. So a lot of you may be frustrated that nothing's happening, or frustrated that you can't connect, frustrated that you can't feel, frustration, right? It's possible that you are not in your body. It's possible that there is fears, unconscious fears, blocking you from getting in. And so my suggestion would be, I don't have this experience. This is my first and only lifetime on this earth plane. So I don't have this personal experience. And you know how I teach. I typically teach from my own experience. So I can't relate, but what I can share that other beings of light, star beings and galactic beings, have shared in client sessions is just start to recognize how you feel about moving into the body. Start to recognize if you can find your breath throughout your day. Start to recognize if you can open your seventh energy center, right? So that's the crown. Can you open your crown? And if you start to open your crown, what are the fears that you have? What do you start to fear that you're not safe, right? How conscious can you get of whatever it is you're experiencing? And then ask yourself, is this from this lifetime? Most likely it's not. You weren't tortured in this lifetime. You know, this is the first time in this lifetime that most of us are coming back into our bodies. So start to ask yourself, was this from this lifetime or is it from another lifetime? And be gentle with yourself, you know, if you're one of the ones that has a hard time. Also, those of you that are subconscious or unconscious to the fact that you don't want to get into your body because it's claustrophobic, and the last time you did it, you were murdered, or God knows what happened to you in a past life, right? Have compassion for yourself. You know, have compassion for that. It's you're going to do it. So my suggestion, my recommendation is keep finding your breath. Keep finding your breath. Keep finding your breath. When you find your breath, you're in your body. And it's a very gentle way to get into your body. And then once you're in your body finding your breath, can you open up the crown? Open up the crown. Open up your seventh energy center, because that allows you to open up to the energies. You know, which is kind of, it's like you want to do that at the same time that you want to be in your physical form and let your physical form show you and tell you what's going on, you know, if that makes sense. Yes, treat yourself like you are your most adorable loved one. Plants. You did plant medicine and got depressed for 3 months. Do other people experience waking up and not only feeling like a hangover, but with cuts and open abscesses on their body? I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Can we smash through our own blueprints, pushing forward even further than we thought we could? Or was it all planned to be how it is? No, I think you can. We have free will. So even if there's a divine, we all have a blueprint when we come in. But even with that blueprint, you are a free-willed being. Every being has free will. And when you're in this matrix, there's a lot that you can do and experience and explore. Any matrix that you're in within the Earth's field, right? So if you're in a fourth dimensional matrix or a fifth dimensional matrix as well, you have free will. So regardless of what your divine blueprint is, and really many of us, the divine blueprint, the foundational experience is to experience consciousness shifting into the next dimensional field and form. And then whatever else you designed yourself to do. But there's a quantum field that you're in. So there's an infinite amount of experiences that you can have. So just because you chose a divine blueprint to drop down with, as the being of light that you are, doesn't mean that you, as that being of light, are held to that. You have the ability to play around and manipulate all kinds of experiences. So no, I don't believe that. Sexual consciousness density, clearing the body. Sexual consciousness. Oh, sexual consciousness and clearing. Nothing's coming to me right now about that. Nothing's coming. Let me sit with that one. Thank you so much. Your reminders are super helpful. Thank you. Yes, please talk about that, Lori. The sexual stuff. I think a lot of it is when we're clearing out, or even when we are experiencing what the human would call sexual energy or sexual consciousness. There's so many avenues that it can be explored in, it can be looked at, it can be viewed as. I think one of the key essentials in stepping into higher states of consciousness is sexual experiences, sexual consciousness, sexual feelings takes on a completely different nature when you start moving into higher states of consciousness. So we can start to get confused as a third dimensional human still, that energetic exchanges that we're having are sexual when it's just the energetic pulsing between two light beings of light, right? And because we're remembering how to do this and we're new to this, that pulsing can get confusing. Is this a sexual energy? Am I supposed to be moving towards this person? Is this something I shouldn't be thinking? Why am I thinking these thoughts? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I want to jump this person's bones? Why do I want to be around this person 24/7? Like whatever that is, right? It's kind of funneled through the sexual tunnel. But as you shift into higher states of consciousness, it's much bigger than sexual. It's energy, and it's an energetic exchange. And because we are in a program and paradigm with that consciousness where be careful, it's a touchy subject, the whole idea around sexual, any of that it's touchy, right? It's like it's bad to have these sexual thoughts. I'm trying to clear out these sexual thoughts, like all that stuff. What's going to happen, and what may be happening to a lot of you, is that when you start to, my guides are reminding me of this. I'm not going to go into it, but this massage I had, and I was like, this is really intense energy. And I was diving into the energy of this massage I was having with this man. It was at a spa, right? And I was like, because everything I do is energy, you guys. So every experience I have, I'm looking at it through the lens of energy. And I was tapping into this energy, and I was like, and I was looking at it through different lenses. And I was like, wow, this is a really intense, I could see this as an intense sexual energy. And then I dived deeper into it, and I was like, but it's not a sexual energy where like you want to jump the person's bones. It's like a warm, it's like a, I know you, you know me. It's a comfort. It's like a nice blanket on a really wintry, snowy day. It's 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 just energy, and how you funnel it is how you funnel it. And there's nothing wrong with any sort of sexual experiences or consciousness that may be coming up to be cleared or healed or processed or even felt even more intensely. So start to get conscious of the energy you're feeling, tap into it more. Like when I was having the massage and I was like, it's a normal massage. It's not like it was a normal massage. But when I was feeling the energy between us, I was really diving into the energy. What does it feel like? What is it saying? What dive deeper into the energy. Don't just feel something and label it and then follow the third dimensional program or paradigm of that energy. So bravo to all of you that are feeling more intensely, because that means your energy inside of you is increasing. Your vibration is increasing. You're feeling more energy. If that makes sense. I think it's just really important to look at the programs and paradigms around sex and sexual energy, sexual consciousness. Look at the traumas, the pains, the wounds that people may still have. Um, so, like, um, hold on a second. Just think about it's going to get more intense perhaps in terms of energy exchanges between humans. So you want to get real clear on the energy of what you're feeling, the intensity of it, the stories, the programs, the trauma around your own journey of sex and sexuality, um, the programs and paradigms that we are in. Remember that you're not it, right? So you're not the sexual experience. You're not the sexual uh, prowler. You're not that, right? You're in this matrix as a being of light in the human form, and you're experiencing these energies in a certain avenue and way. And if things happened in your past, what happened in your past to create the tunnel vision that you're seeing and experiencing this energy through? Orgasms move energy. Yeah, orgasm moves energy. Absolutely. I mean, yes, an orgasm is basically an energetic release. It's energy being released when it feels good, right? But it's an energy being released. So and it also is you're tapping into higher states of you're tapping into you're like, it's a very touchy subject because it really depends on the type of wounding and trauma that you've had with the sexual experience. I mean, so many of us have had such traumatic experiences when we were younger. Um, there's probably 50% of us on this channel right now that have had sexual trauma, unfortunately. Um, so there is wounding and trauma that is healing within us right now, physically, as we're shifting, right? And but an orgasm is from a higher perspective. It's tapping into higher states of consciousness, and it's tapping into when you tap into those higher states of consciousness. It's an instantaneous kind of jolt up into a higher vibration, a higher awareness, and it's also a releasing of energy. So on a physical level, it's a releasing of energy, and on a higher perspective, it is tapping into higher states of consciousness instantaneously almost. And you really start to understand, mm, but it happens so quickly that you're not really like digesting or trying to. I'm not a sex person anyways, but I'm not a sex person, but like I'm not a tantric person or something like that. But anyway, that's what my guides just said. What else? Yeah, you're guided to heal your own trauma. It happens naturally. Absolutely. It does. It's happened to me. Um, let's see what else. Anything else? A lot of my childhood trauma has been healed now, the worst of it. Hallelujah. Same with me. Most of it. Almost all of it. What else? Any advice for the down days? Hi, Susan. I got your email. Did I respond? Oh, yeah, I did respond to it. Be gentle with yourself. Um, Try to surrender to it, meaning it's not going to last, regardless of how long it's been lasting. And there's a reason for it. So, can you remind yourself that there's a reason? This is not just happening just to happen. You're not just having down days just randomly to have a down day. So, Susan, can you remember when you're having the down days? You don't have to like it. It'd be great if you could find a neutral place with it, meaning I'm not liking it or not liking it, just is. So you're not attaching or judging it, which is challenging when you really don't want to enjoy it or you're not enjoying it. But can you find the remembrance that there's a reason that this is happening? There's an absolute reason you're having a down day. Can you remember that your physical body is in charge? Right now, the physical body is in charge for most of us. So can you remember that the physical body is doing what it needs to do? And if there is a huge amount of dense depression, sadness, feeling, what are you going to do? Fight it? Try to fix it? I guarantee you'll be right back there in a couple months. You might as well just go through it so it's purged out of you. What happens to us is we try to get out of it. And then guess what? 3 weeks later, boom, there it is. Or a month later, boom, there it is. So try to remember that there's a reason for it, even if you don't know what it is. Most of us won't know what the reason is until later. I had a dream of several of my aunts, different scenes. This particular one, I was at my aunt's house, but there was no roof in her house. What could that mean? There was no roof in her house. Open up your crown chakra. Get yourself open. It's less about your aunts and it's more about you. And if there's no roof, that means you're open, right? There's nothing closing you. The guides that I work with and the light beings, the star beings, the galactic beings, they always talk about the seventh energy center, the crown, as a garage door, opening and closing. So the roof is the same thing, you know. Are you open? Maybe your higher self or your guides are trying to get you to open. You need to open up. How do you open? You say every day, all day long, I want my crown chakra open. My crown chakra's open. My crown chakra's open. I'm safe doing it. There's a lot of beliefs around that. So listen to what other people are telling you about opening up your crown. By the way, hate to tell you guys, but when you move into higher states of consciousness, your crown isn't shut. Your crown's open all the time. You're safe because you understand that you're sovereign. What does sovereign mean? It means you have an energetic field around you that's 1.5 feet out, and it's your own field. You're safe in it. So if your crown's open, you still have an energetic field around you. You're safe. And your energy and your light and your consciousness can come and go, and you can receive energy and consciousness and frequency safely. Again, the human form has been designed to do this. Part of the human form is the energetic field. By the way, the earth has an energetic field around her as well. She has 2 right now. She has a 12th dimensional grid around her, and she has a 5th dimensional grid around her. Double safety for her. I would love some advice on how do you deal with other people's dense energy when you're surrounded or in a place with this energy? Great question, Alicia. Okay, so here's what I do. I'm super aware of it, right? So I will be very, very aware of it, and I will the more awareness I have around it, the less I will be susceptible to falling into it, meaning playing in it, being impacted by it. What does it mean to be impacted by denser energies around you, a denser energy of a person, right? So you've got a field around you, that person has a field around you, right? It's bumper cars, and you're going to bump into it. When you bump into it, you can either bump into it and say, oh, that's a dense energy. My God, that person is dense. My holy Moses, it's heavy. Or you can bump into it and say, you can play in it, which means that you start to experience it. You start to feel it. You start to engage with it, right? The energy doesn't come into your sovereign field, but it's a bumper car. Bumpers, it's bumping. And so get conscious of, oh my God, this person's really dense. Oh my God, this person's really heavy. Wow, look at how much they're complaining. Look at how much this, look at how much that, right? You're observing. You can leave, or if you can't get out of it, you just observe. You remember that you're holding your own field in your own space. You are not a victim to anybody or any energy. So you don't have to believe that you're going to be pulled into their space. Now, there are many times in the past during my ascension process where I would be drained when I hung out people that were in a denser energy than me. And it drained me. And when I stepped out of their space, I was frustrated. I was annoyed. I was in a denser space. I felt dirty. I felt like, ugh, right? I didn't take it on in me, but I was consuming myself with it. I was engaging with it. Now, what I do is I'm acutely aware of it. I'm acutely aware of that other person, that other situation, that other environment. And I remember and who I am and what I am capable of. And I'm not a victim. And I typically won't stay. If I have the ability to leave, I will leave because I'm not at a high enough vibrational. I'm not anchored. This is a beautiful example of being anchored. If I was anchored into, let's just say, well, I'm starting to anchor into the fourth. So it's easier for me to be around denser consciousnesses. So here's an example. When you're still anchored in the third dimension and you're dealing with third dimensional consciousness, it's really challenging to separate yourself because you're in the field of that consciousness. That human is third dimensional consciousness and you're anchored in third dimensional consciousness, right? So when you engage in third dimensional consciousness, it's hard to disengage. It's hard to not feel it. Now, when you're anchored in a fourth dimensional field, when you come into contact with humans that are in a denser vibration, guess what? You're not impacted. You're not impacted at all. That's anchoring into another dimension. So if you think about, and you'll start to notice this, and when you start to notice this is one key example of knowing that you've anchored into another dimension. Because the lower consciousnesses that are in the third dimension, including humans, experiences, stories, beliefs, paradigms, programs, they're all going to be in a third dimensional consciousness. If you're anchored in a fourth dimensional consciousness, so you're in the fourth dimensional cloud walking around, right? If you bump into third dimensional consciousness, you're not going to be triggered, impacted. It's going to be like nothing. Whereas another friend of yours, let's say, that isn't anchored in the fourth, it's anchored, she's still anchored or he's still anchored in the third, he's going to have or she's going to have a totally different reaction than you. And they're going to be like, why didn't you get upset? Why didn't you freak out? Why didn't this? Why didn't that? Right? Because you're anchored into a different dimension. Your body is in a different dimension. So that's a great example. You think about like ascended masters or really, really like Jesus or Mother Teresa or Buddha or all these like really enlightened beings that were walking the planet. They weren't, if you think about their lives and the stories that they had and their experiences, they were not impacted. Gandhi, they were not impacted by dense consciousness. So they were not impacted by trauma, pain, death, anything. Why? Because they were anchored in another dimension. Their light inside of them was in a higher state of consciousness, which many of you are experiencing right now, but their form was anchored in a higher consciousness, a higher dimension. So when they were walking around in the third dimensional field, they were in a completely different state, totally different field. So they never got impacted. That's why you look at these people and you're like, how the freak were they in these horrible places dealing with these horrible people? Because they were in a different dimension, walking around. That's a lot of the times why. So it's a combination of your physical form holding a higher vibration, which means that the light inside of you is holding a higher vibration, right? Your light's holding a higher vibration, you're holding a higher vibration inside of you. You keep seeing things in the sky, moving shadows, tiny moving stars. Yeah, I see that stuff too. Um, it's consciousness. I mean, it's a lot of different things that it could be. It could be galactic beings, star beings moving around. I mean, listen, when we start raising our consciousness and raising our vibration, we can see into different dimensions. You can start what you're vibrating at, you can start to see. So if you're only vibrating a third dimensional consciousness, you're only going to see third dimensional consciousness. If you start vibrating in a fourth dimensional consciousness, now that's not the physical body I'm talking about. I'm talking about the light inside of you. If the light inside of you starts to vibrate in a fourth dimensional consciousness, then you're going to start to see fourth dimensional consciousness and then fifth dimensional consciousness. You may be tapping into sixth or seventh dimensional consciousness every once in a while. So as you shift into higher states of consciousness, you can see higher states of consciousness. And when you look up into the sky, guess what? All of this amazing consciousness that we are attached and connected to, galactic beings, star beings, angelic beings, they're in other frequencies, other dimensions above us. I mean, they're all around us, but they hold themselves in what we call star systems and planets and things like that. So it's very possible as you're looking up in the sky that you're seeing consciousnesses in a higher vibration moving around. Let's see, what else? Do you think that cancer will be healed? I think that there will still be cancer in the fourth dimension, in the lower dimensional fields of fourth. So, but it can be healed. So for cancer will absolutely, when all of human, well, not all of humanity, when humans begin to exist in a fourth dimensional consciousness, they will understand and recognize how they can heal anything in the body. But the fourth dimensional field, just like the third dimensional field, exists in a spectrum. So in the lower dimensional fields in the fourth dimension, you're still going to hold some aspects of the third, including disease and illness. When you start shifting into the higher vibrational fields of the fourth dimension, you get closer to the fifth. And that's when you begin to really remember and recognize that you can heal anything in your physical form, any disease, any illness, anything. It's energy. And so depending upon where you're anchored in the fourth dimension, as you start moving through that spectrum, you'll get farther and farther away from the third dimension and closer to, I'm trying to get more light, closer and closer to the fifth dimension, which is when you're in the fifth dimension, there's no illness. Fifth dimension, there's no disease, none of that. The trees hold a really powerful purpose in this journey. The trees were designed. So when I'm going to get off pretty soon, but when the Earth moved down into the third dimension and she started herself again in the third dimensional frequency to move into a fifth dimensional frequency to then move into a seventh dimensional frequency, there was intentional parts of her existence in the third dimension that she required in terms of holding the fifth dimension. And trees were one of them, meaning the trees are designed to hold fifth dimensional consciousness. So a tree holds fifth dimensional consciousness. It doesn't matter what tree it is. So that's the design by the earth herself, who's a being of light, who's a consciousness. The earth is a consciousness, just like you are a consciousness. There's no difference between you and the earth, just the form you're in. And she designed this whole thing. But she wanted fifth dimensional consciousness to be on her while she was shifting from third to fifth so that it could be a little bit easier for her. And she designed trees. Well, trees were existing in the fifth dimension with her anyway, before she fell, but she designed the trees to hold that frequency. It doesn't mean we're failing if we're sick, not at all. Do you laugh more in higher dimensional realities? Probably. Hi, Columbia. Trees have biological anti-gravity. It seems as I become more aware, I can feel the energy from them. Yeah. Again, when you start shifting into higher states of consciousness, then you start to connect and feel higher states of consciousness. When you're in a lower state of consciousness, it's very, very challenging. It's just physics. It's very challenging to feel higher states of consciousness when you're vibrating in a lower consciousness. So as you start shifting your consciousness inside your inside your physical form, then you can start to tap into higher consciousnesses, which is why when you move into portals on the land, like Mount Shasta, well, I'll just leave it at Mount Shasta, right? You go to Mount Shasta and you're going to feel you're in a higher state of consciousness. That land, that mass, that mountain holds a higher vibrational state. So by you doing nothing but being on that mountain, your vibration will instantly raise. And then you'll all of a sudden be experiencing plants, trees, humans from this higher perspective. It's like you're on a drug, dizzy. You can get real dizzy, real exhausted, real tired. Okay, anything else? So can the energy in us create the leaves to move? If you're communicating with the it's all telepathy. So yeah, if you're communicating with the tree and the tree is going to move the leaves for you so that you believe that you have the gift of telepathy, they'll move their leaves for you. It's all telepathy with trees. So you can hear the trees speak to you. It's telepathy. It would be like a light being standing there, right? A light being doesn't speak out of its mouth for the most part, even though there's light language that the human hears when they're channeling sometimes. A lot of it is telepathy. And so the light being will be standing in front of you, let's just say, and you're standing in front of it, and you're a being of light as well, and you begin to communicate without opening your mouth and speaking. Opening your mouth and speaking is a very low density way of communicating. It's a very slow way of communicating, if that makes sense. All right. That was fun, you guys. Thanks for joining me. I enjoyed this. It helped. Let's see how much time until my video is uploaded. Hold on, let's see where we're at. 62%. I've been uploading this video since 8 a.m. It's 1:30, and I'm only at 62%. Does anybody have any suggestions of how to upload YouTube videos faster? Because I could really use it. This is going to be a long video, 90 minutes. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I loved doing it. How does medical medicine affect the body's ascension? Well, there'll be a time where you won't be requiring that medicine, but if you need the medicine for your physical form is going to be okay with it. Remember, your physical form has consciousness. It knows more than you remember or realize. So if it's a medicine you're taking because you need to take it for some reason to function, there will come a time you won't need it. As you shift into higher states of consciousness, your body will repair itself. Lynn, do you associate that flower with the past one? Oh, if you're smelling a flower that reminds you of somebody, then it's typically that person's spirit moving in to remind you that they're with you. So a lot of times we have spirit guides with us. Those spirit guides are in a fourth dimension. So you can really feel them, hear them, smell them, taste them, that kind of thing. And they're basically it's light beings that were in a human form, that were in your life, that are no longer in the physical body, but are staying connected and aligned with you to guide you. That's what you guys contracted. So if there's things like if you smell your grandma or something, then she's around. If you hear your grandmother's song or your brother's song or something, that's a sign, right? They're here, I'm here, I'm here. If you know what I mean. All right. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. All right, you guys, I love you. Thanks for being here with me again. It was so fun. An impromptu live Q&A, basically. So if you missed the beginning of this, go back and listen and watch. It was about the physical body and how amazing our physical forms are. I'll be doing my next live Q&A when? June 4th at 4 p.m. Pacific. I have a new masterclass that I'm doing on June 28th. The masterclass is about anchoring into the fourth dimension. And the details I'll stick down below in this video, but I'm excited about it. June 28th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific, $29. If you can't join live, you can get the recording. Oh, and I have another group journey into Telos on June 14th. That'll be fun. I'll put the details down below. You're awesome, Spice Junkie. You're welcome. So are a lot of the people in the chat? Yes. A lot of the people, not a lot of the people. All of us. We're all doing the best we darn can. We're all doing the best we can. I enjoy you, Deborah. Thanks, Rosie, for being here. Thanks, Mountain Man. Thanks, Tanya. Violet Me, love the hearts. Christine, Sylvia, Sophie. What about Telos? Come join us. Doing a group journey into Telos. June 14th. Thanks, Brian, Cami, North Soul Star. Hi, Sandra. Cami, Norman, Lori, Blissful. I'll let you know when I'm taking clients, probably in September, I think. David from New Zealand. Antonio. Okay, I'm going to go now. I love you guys. I'll see you in another impromptu or on my live or in my masterclass or in my group journey or in the etheric realm in our dream states, wherever we meet again. Have a great rest of your Sunday morning, afternoon, evening. Maybe it's Monday where you are. Beautiful Memorial Day weekend if you're in the United States. And if you're elsewhere in the world, enjoy your now moment. I love you all. Don't forget you're a rock star and you're doing it. Okay? Be gentle with yourself. Take care. Bye.